The other day, hot off the press, I had a look at Captain Kirk's supposed trip to space. Shared some thoughts and what I thought was going on. Bit of it was wishful thinking, I'll be honest. And of course, since then I've been waiting for more footage to emerge to do a full breakdown of this pantomime. Of course, most of us know it is a pantomime, a show. But not much footage has emerged. And what has emerged only gives the game away even more. And initially I'd missed the landing. As you'll notice, it's not in the original clip, the original video I did. And I find the landing incredibly damning. And off the back of that, I had a little peep at the chair, and that's design. And just based off that, the footage of the landing, the chair's design, no one was in that rocket. One, taking off, or two, landing. I initially hoped and wished that they at least went in the rocket, went up and did a 0G maneuver just in the rocket, maybe a little bit higher than the plane. I hoped they were at least doing that, but nah, they're not even doing that. So let's have a look. Bear with me. So let's see this capsule coming into land. Bearing in mind, got a group of people in this capsule, one of which is a 90-year-old film star. Okay, so let's have a look. Pay particular attention to the close-up when the capsule hits the ground, and look at the impact, the amount of dust, and of course you can see how heavy that actually lands. Okay, and then we're going to look at the design of the chair, the seat these people are supposedly using. Okay, but let's look at the impact first. That's quite a heavy impact, and once more, bang, that's a pretty heavy impact, particularly for a 90-year-old film star. Okay, bear with me, we're going to go and have a look at the design of the seat now, which is supposedly taking the sting out of them coming in and hitting the ground that hard. Bear with me. Take note of the seats here just before they're supposedly landing, okay? The positions, and of course you remember the heavy impact. So that energy is being transferred, of course, from the ground up into their backs, okay? Particularly Kurt, who seems quite low to the ground. So let's just see a little documentary.
Now let's look at some,
or rather a little clip discussing the seats these guys are using.
Now let's look at some of the key features, starting with the seats, of course. So these seats are in-house design seats based on a helicopter model. They're made through the scissor mechanism to be able to take out any extra forces, downward forces, as you come into land. Now,
so the design is essentially stolen from a helicopter seat. Problem is, helicopters don't land like the capsule just crashing into the ground did. They come down gently. And of course you've shown us a model there of a seat, but when you sat on it, it had no deflection at all. It didn't move whatsoever. Should we see it again? Pay particular attention to when she sits on the so-called seat. It's supposed to have a scissor-type suspension system, which of course gives as pressure is applied on the seat. But it didn't move at all when she sat on it. But we're supposed to believe that is taken into account when the capsule comes crashing down. But even the design itself is flawed. But let's just see her sit on it again. Like I say, pay particular attention to when she sits on it, the fact that it doesn't move whatsoever. There's no deflection in the seat whatsoever, no give.
let's look at some of the key features, starting with the seats, of course. So these seats are in...
Nothing, no give at all.
Starting with the seats, of course. So these seats are in-house designed...
Didn't move whatsoever. Bear with me. So here's a close-up of the scissor-type suspension that this seat's got. The problem is, once it's got to the limit of its scissor-type movement, you've still got then the contact between one, the seat, and two, the ground, the floor of the craft, where your suspension reaches its limit, and then it will deflect a bit of energy, but you're going to absolutely be smashing once this scissor suspension reaches its limit, smashing into the floor, breaking your backs. There's not even that much room here, judging by the picture, to deflect the energy away. This seat design alone and the way that craft come crashing in, and the fact I'm supposed to believe a 90-year-old Hollywood film star was lying there like that with his back crashing down like that with that seat system, which is for a helicopter, and helicopters land gently, and we've just seen this thing smash into the ground. Gives it all away. Big time. Bear with me. So let's look at the Captain Kirk supposedly going to space story here, and I'll pause it and break it down as we go and highlight exactly what's going on here in this charade.
When you're up there, you see this beautiful, vulnerable blue planet. Remember,
Vulnerable. Quite obvious what is being pushed here, as well as the space fantasy. Yeah?
it's just our origin. And you guys are here at the beginning.
We know no one is in that rocket. The seat design alone tells us that. I'm a bit gutted. I actually hoped that they actually got in a rocket and did a zero-G type maneuver in the rocket. I really did. Yeah, they're not even doing that. What a shame. What a shame. The design of the seat alone tells us that. The crash landing, of course, tells us that. Supposed helicopter seats. Helicopters don't come in like that. They're not meant to. The fact William's 90 and, well, we'll continue. Like I said, no one is in that rocket other than dummies. Now that scene has got to be a mock scene in the studio somewhere, which more than likely has got screens there showing you this supposed liftoff with footage no doubt taken from one of the test runs, then played on these screen stroke windows, where this lot just sat in there in their seats stroke props. That was CGI. That's probably a real rocket launch being filmed by the members of the team. Then we come to this scene that I hoped that it was a real scene, that they were essentially experiencing this environment in the rocket capsule, but they're not. Again, we know that, the design of the seat, and of course the crash landing, which leads me to believe that some have said this is on harnesses. It's not. This to me can only be one thing now, a mocked up zero-G plane with screens. We saw the screen sort of mock up just now where they were supposedly taken off. That could have been here or in the studio, more than likely. But this, I think, is in a mocked up zero-G plane. The limited footage we've got, that has to be what this is. With no doubt some special effects blended in there as well to push this silly lie pantomime.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God.
This is
Oh, wow. I can't believe this. No description can equal this.
CGI. CGI. And now the heavy capsule landing, which of course we know because of the seat design, no humans were on there. No doubt they were put in after. I'm not saying there wasn't footage taken of test runs of people in this capsule, but there were 90-year-old Hollywood stars, and this wasn't what we saw. And I even thought maybe this capsule was dropped from a cargo plane with William and all that lot, Captain Kirk. But no, not even that, based on the landing. And of course, the design of the seat. It's a shame. I'd hoped that they were at least going up in a rocket and experiencing something, but they're not even in it. Such a shame. Same again, mock up in a studio here with windows that are actually screens showing this footage, again taken from a test run. And then bang, boom, the backbreaker coming home. We've just looked at the designs of the seats. You got a 90-year-old man on there supposedly. That would have probably broke his back, killed him. The suspension, the scissor suspension, would have reached its limit. Then you'd have had all that force going straight into the 90-year-old Captain Kirk's back, probably killed him. Clearly ridiculous. And then we come to this space pantomime Oscar-winning performance here from Captain Kirk. We know he wasn't in there based on the design and the footage we've seen now and everything else that's been brought forward since. We know it's just tosh. So let's have a look at Captain Kirk winning the space pantomime Oscar of probably all time.
Everybody in the world needs to see. There is Mother and Earth and comfort, but what you see is black. What you have given me.
I initially hoped that you at least had gone in a rocket, Captain, and come down. I hoped that that was at least possible, because I'm actually a space fan, believe it or not. But that's not even possible. We've seen how ridiculous that is. And Captain's performance, well, bless him. You got to live with that, Captain. The seat in that craft tells us the truth. You wouldn't be there. You'd be snapped in half, mate. But here you are. Sorry, don't let me interrupt this Oscar-winning space pantomime performance.
Is the most profound experience I can imagine. I'm so filled with emotion.
The seat tells us the truth, Captain.
About what just happened, it's extraordinary.
The crash landing tells us the truth, Captain. The ridiculous, awkward hug tells us the truth, Captain. And of course, let's not forget, Chris Hadfield, legendary NASA astronaut, gave the game away before Star Trek legend Captain Kirk's pantomime even begun. Listen to the advice Chris gave Captain Kirk.
Retired Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield joins me now to talk some more about this. Thanks for your time tonight.
Good evening, Morella.
So you actually sent a message to Mr. Shatner. What did you say?
Well, we chatted back and forth, wishing him well, telling him to absolutely revel in the experience, and you know, to make sure he doesn't get all caught up trying to record it or something. Have fun, you know.
To make sure he doesn't get caught up trying to record it, this historical moment. You couldn't make it any more obvious if you tried, Chris. Everyone doing that would want to record that, enjoying the moment and record it. Have a GoPro on your suit, on your head, and a camera. But no, you advised him not to. Very telling, Chris. Very telling indeed, fella. So the overall conclusion of Captain Kirk's supposed trip to space is, essentially, it was a mixture of a firework display, some CGI, a mocked up scene, a mocked up zero-G plane. No doubt one that was blended with some special effects put in after. And of course, not forgetting an award-winning space pantomime performance from the one and only Captain Kirk. You can't make this stuff up. The chair of truth has debunked all of this charade.